Hey guys, it's Modman. Late night.
Late night.
Grab a beer.
Again, please. We're drinking. It's alright.
It's not bad. Black hefeweizen something from Goliad, Texas.
A little heavy on the beginning, but it mellows in.
It's very good cold. Tonight, we're going to look at this.
Little bit of backstory on the Mutton Buster engine. Last December I rebuilt. Well, I didn't. I decided to go the cheap route and kind of do a budget rebuild. Not a smart thing. I went with ACL bearings.
The parts weren't budget parts. They were good parts. It was the assembly, I think.
Yeah.
That caused two bearings to fuse themselves together.
You get what you pay for.
Look at that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And the rod bolt here is pretty stellar. There's also one stuck in my block. Blew it up at about 5,000 miles. Maybe 4,000, 4,500 RPM. I was doing about 85 in 6th gear. So that was it. It was Manley I-beams, great rods, CP pistons, great pistons. Mediocre assembly.
So the cause of the engine failure was a spun bearing. Well, a spun bearing happens. Those of you who have had a spun bearing happen on an engine before, it doesn't get enough lubrication, it heats up, and it slips itself out of that place, whether it's on the rod or on the main. And friction creates heat. Heat does this. You can see that it's got a lost coloration. This is actually two bearings from that piston we showed you. Those two rod bearings floating around on the crank, and there was enough heat to friction weld these together and to interlock them. And this is why oiling and maintaining oil pressure and lubrication in the engine is so important. Here's another example. This is a main bearing actually this time. You can see all different kinds of scoring on this bearing. It's got some rough edges too, probably because of the blow up, but also because there's not enough oil getting in there to provide the clearance and that lubrication that the crank and the rods need to be able to function like they're intended to.
So there was a big, thick chunk of RTV that I found in one of the oil journals, and that's what we think kind of caused it to block up. Luke's pulling out the oil pickup right now. The Killer Bee oil pickup. Mechanically, the thing is absolutely sound. We've got a new one.
We've got the pickup here, and it managed actually in here to suck up some of that bearing material, and this is pretty spectacular for an engine to blow like this. But you can see all that bearing material. I just pulled all of that out of the oil pickup. As we've yet to inspect the oil pump, but I guarantee there's probably stuff that got through the filter. Right here.
This filter is intact, which is pretty impressive. So, Killer Bee, you guys put out a fantastic product.
Plus one for you guys. But that's what happens when you spin a bearing. Sometimes it's not as catastrophic, but it can be just as catastrophic as a blown ringland or dropping a valve or something to that nature.
That's what my last rebuild was for. Drop valve.
I thought you blew a ringland.
No,
it's a Subaru.
Yeah, it's a Subaru.
I saw your pistons. You blew ringland.
It was on the verge of going.
So that's the extent of Mike's engine troubles. We're going to get in the car, and we've got some fuel things to work out. We got new fuel rails, courtesy of Full Spectrum Performance.
New fuel lines and 6 fittings.
Oh yeah, it's a good piece of kit. I run them on my car. I machined them and built them.
Right.
So obviously this is a shameless advertisement for my product.
Boo.
Anyway, we're gonna get to that. We got to redo his fuel system. We're taking the OEM system out, which runs all 4 cylinders in series, and we're replacing with the full spectrum product, which runs the banks in parallel, increase more even fuel pressure. So
And we'll show you the difference between the stock OEM stuff and Luke's products.
Yeah, that's next week's video.
I know. But we can drink a few beers until then.
We can.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Cool.